Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Shotsuki Hoyo, or our monthly memorial service, where we remember our loved ones who passed away in the month of February. Today's service allows us to express our gratitude for their roles in our lives. The fruit and floral offerings will be presented by Kiana Koga and Juliana Cruz. Noriko Sensei will now lead us in silent meditation.
Being without even the slightest love or compassion, how could I hope to benefit sentient beings? If it were not for the ship of the Tathagata's vow, how can the ocean of suffering be crossed? Shinran Shonin.
Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida
Namo
Butsu.
Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu.
Noriko Sensei will be reading the names of our Shotsuki Hoyo families. While she's reading them, we welcome the families who are observing Shotsuki Hoyo to come up and offer incense.
Kisoemon Sato, Wilbur Takashima, Bunshiro Takashima, Wilbur Takashima, Naminosuke Tachiki, Tachiki family, Rino Yanagihara, Yanagihara family, Same Odawara, Higuchi family, Michi Hanano, Gerald Hanano, Eikichi Ishisaki, Florence Koga, Toyo Furusho, Saito family, Naminosuke Date, Date family, Yukino Kodama, Vivian Jones, Ichigoro Imai, Fumiko Ohara, Kotaro Shimizu, Dorothy Kimura, Mine Iwataki, Iwataki family, Hatsue Kimura, Ochi family, Sada Takasugi, Wayne Takasugi, Sada Tsuneyoshi, Tsuneyoshi family, Don Sadao Takeshita, Takeshita family, Yujiro Nakano, Nakano family, Yaeno Amano, Amano family, Natsue Shinohara, Shinohara family, Tome Morimoto, Morimoto family, Tome Yamashita, Mildred Kawasaki, Suma Shimada, Sharon Shimada, Masanori Koba, Dwayne Koba, Fred Yamaguchi, Yamaguchi family, Fumiko Yoshihara, Kubota family. Megumi Torimaru, Torimaru family. Masano Hirata, Hirata family. Yuki Masumoto, Chiyoko Masumoto. Shima Fudo, Miyoko Yamanishi. Miki Moriyama, Kat Moriyama Liz. Sada Sameshima, Richard Y. Sameshima. Eda Asamen, Masako Ueji. Misao Sugiyama, Sugiyama family. George Hoshizaki, Carolyn Jackson. James Nicholas Link, Catherine Moriyama Liz. Mary Sugimoto, Florence Koga. Yajuro Nemoto, Nemoto family. Kiyoshi Nakamura, Nakamura family. Otomatsu Yoshihara, Hiroko Kubota. Iwao Yagura, Yagura family. Fumiko Momita, Gary Asano Momita. Mary Hoshizaki, Carolyn Jackson. Satoshi Jack Takagi, Takagi family. Shie Hagio, Hagio family. Carol Inoue, Craig Inoue. Masami Honda, Amy Honda. Fred Hashiguchi, Miyoko Hashiguchi. Joseph S. Shiraishi, Shiraishi family. Beth Torio, Wesley Torio. Patsy Harue Yanagihara, Yanagihara family. Shigeru Moriyama, Kat Moriyama Liz. Susie Shizuko Yamada, Bert Matsumoto. Doris Miyashiro, Amy Sato. Tsuneo Niwa, Niwa family. Toshiharu Glenn Yonekura, Takashima family. Ronald Nishinaga, Manny Ryan. Yoshinobu Wakabayashi, Yoshiko White. Rose Watamura, Elizabeth Takasaki. Fumie Yamashita, friends. Mary Matsumoto, Kay DeFord. Mariko Tanizaki, Gary Tanizaki. Hideko Okada Smith, James E. Smith. George Yamamoto, Anne Yamamoto. Michael Matsuo Doi, Doi family. Hatsumi Oto, Amy Oto. Ruby Yoshida, Laura Yoshida. Mieko Kinoshita, Michael Kinoshita. Nobuko Amano, Mike Amano. Minako Nakano, Alan Nakano.
Please open your books to page 34 for the chanting of the Juseige.
最小便具政府上昇学合市上分動名所長実法空教未証文政府上昇学利欲人少年上映主本業しぐむ浄土一生天人死人力縁大公不祥無才道少女三苦名交際主役難回避知恵言滅死根毛案閉塞小悪道通達全宗門高僧上満足いよろ実法日願修十期天候音符言一種解放像五世苦六法上王大集中説法ししく供養一切部具足習徳本願念心上満得意三害を女分無下知通達未不詳願学営利投資最小損志願約国家大戦後感動国商天人と内妙家ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブがんにしくどく平等性一切道 Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Please stand for the recitation of the three treasures found on page 91 in our service book. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult it is to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves our supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become intra-cord in your life of harmony in a spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You may be seated. Mrs. Sharon Sasaki will now give us our Dharma message.
Let's see. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all having a good morning, and it's really nice to see all of you today here for our February memorial service. To start, please join me in Gassho. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So I'll start with a question for the Dharma School students. Do you know where that passage is from that I just read? Does it sound familiar? Cassidy? Yes, good, good. Yeah, so Cassidy recognized that it's from our pledge, which was written by His Eminence Gomonshu Kojun Otani. The Gomonshu is the spiritual leader of our school of Buddhism, Jodo Shinshu, and he's the 25th generation descendant of the founder of Jodo Shinshu, Shinran Shonin. That means that Shinran Shonin is the current Gomonshu's great grandfather. So does anyone, so they also, this year we're celebrating the 850th birthday of Shinran Shonin and the 800th anniversary of the Jodo Shinshu teaching. So these teachings have stood a very long test of time. And two more questions for the Dharma School. Does anyone know where the image of Shinran Shonin is in our Hondo? Does anyone know? So if you look inside the Onaijin, Shinran Shonin is the central image is Amida Buddha, and the left-hand image is Renyo Shonin. The right-hand image is Shinran Shonin. And does anyone know where the image of Gomonshu is in our Hondo? So yes, Mr. Greg is pointing right above the the entry into the Hondo is the Gomonshu, Kojun Otani. So going back to the reading from our pledge, it talks about greed, anger, and ignorance, which are called the three poisons in Buddhism. And so today I wanted to talk about one of those three poisons, which is anger. So do you ever get angry? I see some heads nodding. So you can relate. We all get angry. I'm sure that even sometimes the Gomonshu gets angry. And I think that even Shinran Shonin would say that he continued to get angry through his life. So I was thinking about what makes me angry. When my favorite basketball team, the Golden State Warriors, loses, I feel angry. Actually, even when the other team makes a three-pointer, I feel a little bit angry. And when I was trying to buy concert tickets recently, but I got an error on my computer, I felt angry, as my husband Robert could attest. And also when I see someone act mean or rude, I feel some anger. So how do we not become lost in our anger and instead think and act with an open mind like the calm and peaceful Buddha? I found a story about anger that I think is helpful. And it's a story about when the Buddha got a little bit bullied. So the story is, it starts with a passage. Those who remain tranquil when feeling another's anger protect themselves and all other beings. So on anger. One day, the Buddha and a large following of monks and nuns were passing through a village. The Buddha chose a large shade tree to sit beneath, so the group could rest a while out of the heat. He often chose times like these to teach, and so he began to speak. Soon, villagers heard about the visiting teacher, and many gathered around to hear him. One surly young man stood to the side, watching as the crowd grew larger and larger. To him, it seemed that there were too many people traveling from the city to his village, and each had something to sell or teach. Impatient with a bulging crowd of monks and villagers, he shouted at the Buddha, "Go away! You just want to take advantage of us. You teachers come here to say a few pretty words and then ask for food and money." But the Buddha was unruffled by these insults. He remained calm, exuding a feeling of loving kindness. He politely requested that the man come forward. Then he asked, "Young sir, if you purchased a lovely gift for someone, but that person did not accept the gift, to whom does the gift then belong?" The odd question took the young man by surprise. "I guess the gift would still be mine, because I was the one who bought it." "Exactly so," replied the Buddha. "Now, you have just cursed me and been angry with me. But if I do not accept your curses, if I do not get insulted and angry in return, these curses will fall back upon you, the same as the gift returning to its owner." The young man clasped his hands together and slowly bowed to the Buddha. It was an acknowledgement that a valuable lesson had been learned. And so the Buddha concluded for all to hear, "As a mirror reflects an object, as a still lake reflects the sky, take care that what you speak or act is for good. For goodness will always cast back goodness, and harm will always cast back harm." So that's the story I found in this book. And in the story, the Buddha was insulted and told to go away, but he did not react in anger. I know that I would have felt upset if someone called me out like that. So when we get angry, it's okay to have that emotion. We all do as humans. But we can try to react like the Buddha. First, we can pause to notice the feeling of anger inside. Then taking deep breaths or walking around a bit can help us calm down. And we'll see that our anger goes away and is impermanent. And we can stop our anger from harming other people. Like the Buddha, after we calm down, we can reflect back goodness. That might mean talking to the bully in a calm and caring way, like the Buddha in the story. The compassion of Amida Buddha embraces everyone, including bullies. Or another way of reacting is we might realize that what we're angry about is kind of silly. I should admire any basketball player who can make a three-point shot, even LeBron James. So this is a way that we can think and act with an open mind, like the calm and peaceful Buddha. And when we put our hands together and say Namo Amida Butsu, we're expressing gratitude for the benevolence of Amida Buddha, which is incomprehensible and boundless wisdom and compassion that embraces us just as we are, with our human flaws and imperfections like anger. So, thank you for listening today, and please join me in Gassho. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.
Thank you, Mrs. Sharon Sasaki, for your message about anger. For me, it was a good reminder about using kind words, taking a deep breath to calm down, and remembering to reflect on why I got mad in the first place, which nowadays is usually my girls. Sorry, Kiana. Can you please rise to sing the Gatha Farewell on page 107 in our Gatha book? Remain standing for the recitation of our pledge found on the insert of your service book. Our pledge: breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly works to liberate all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. You may be seated. Thank you to Noriko Sensei for officiating our service today. Thank you to Yukari Williams for ringing the Kansho. Thank you to Sharon Sasaki for your Dharma message, to Robert Yamamoto for being our musician, and to Brevin Honda, Bill Teague, and Ken Muraoka for the live stream. Are there any announcements?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming today. I just have a quick few things. Thank you for all those that attended the general meeting last week and for bringing foods to the potluck. We were able to conduct the business of the temple, and we are complete. So thank you for that. We had enough for the quorum. Next, a couple updates on our reverends. Reverend Gibbs, we were asked, many of you know that about a month ago, we were asked to let him rest. He was having some heart issues and so health issues. So I did speak with him yesterday or a couple days ago, and he let me know that he is having a heart procedure in March, early March. So we'll keep you updated on that, and we'll have a card for him later to sign. But update on Reverend Akahoshi, I called him on something else, and he told me that he was in the hospital yesterday, and he fell and broke his hip, and he had surgery. He was in the hospital. So I have cards down in the kitchen, in the new kitchen. So during hospitality, maybe you could sign them. And there's a couple different cards in there to sign for him. He said he's doing fine. Haha, he said. No, he said he was doing okay. But he sounded good, and so just wanted to let you know on that. And also to invite you to all the services, but especially next week we'll have Reverend John Hughes coming to speak, and the following one we'll have the bishop, and he will be certifying 3 of our MAs, Sharon Sasaki, Yukari Williams, and Arturo Rubio. So I hope you can join us for that service too, but all services. So, okay, thank you.
Thanks, Luann. February is membership month, so we want to encourage you to invite friends to attend a service, or if you have friends or family who you think would enjoy being a member, please let them know. We have handouts in the back about the many activities we'll be doing to make it easier to become a member. And I'm very grateful that we have this flyer, so I can end my announcement at this time. Thank you very much.
Hi, good morning. I'm here we have a nice activity planned for next Sunday. Next Sunday is the Super Bowl, and it's with Shirley's favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs, against Margot's favorite team, the Philadelphia Eagles. But we're going to plan to have a Super Bowl watch party here in the Annex Hall next Sunday, starting from 3 o'clock. So anyone who'd like to come out and watch the game and bring something to share for the potluck, you're welcome to do so. You could bring a lounge chair if you like, and sit back and watch the game on Tim's 85-inch big screen TV. So that'll be happening next Sunday. So hope you could attend. There's some flyers in the back and downstairs in the office as well. Also later this month is the BCA National Council meetings, and Luann and Bill will be our representatives, the temple representatives for those meetings. And then on Sunday, the 26th, I know we have service that day, which is Scout Day, but the BCA will have its National Eitaikyo service. So you can, the temple will be sharing the link for that service. It'll be on the website, so you could look for that if you'd like to view the service for that Sunday. Okay, thank you.
Dharma School students may gassho and are excused to classes, and a reminder that we'll be having hospitality after our adult service today. Noriko Sensei will now lead us in the bandana and tisarana.
Page 96. Please join me from where it says leader. Namo tassa homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Gassho. Namamida Butsu. Namamida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda Butsu.
Our Dharma message will be now given by Mr. Bill Teague.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you again. I'm so glad that we could join together in a real live service where we get to enjoy each other's company, and it really makes a different feeling for us for these services. Also, thanks to Reverend Kawai for officiating today, for Sharon for her message, for Chelsey, Koga for doing such a lovely job of being the chairperson. All of those things help us today. I also wanted to thank you for allowing me to share some words with you. And I apologize for the laptop. I'm going to be reading a number of passages, so I better go ahead and refer to them more directly. But my talk today is about one of the features of our Jodo Shinshu tradition. It's unique in many ways, and it does have a connection to our Shotsuki Hoyo tradition as well. The title of my talk is The Pros and Cons of Being a Bombu. So to start formally, please put your hands together in Kansho, remembering that one hand is you and the other hand is the Buddha. And while it's traditional to begin with a quotation from a Pure Land Sutra from Shinran Shonin or Renyo Shonin, I'd like to go ahead and begin by quoting a verse from the Dhammapada, which is a collection of short, wise sayings from Shakyamuni Buddha. This is from chapter 5, called The Fool. A fool who knows his foolishness is wise at least to that extent, but a fool who thinks himself wise is a fool indeed. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Well, thank you again. Some of you know that my wife Joyce, in the 1980s, I think, was on the Wheel of Fortune. We've never yet met that level of fame and celebrity, but it was a fun experience. We didn't win, I say we, but Joyce did very nicely, but she was playing against what turned out to be one of the all-time winners of up until that point. So it was a woman who obviously had practiced every single day for a year so that she could guess these things. And we were sitting next to her husband who told us that, you know, I'm really sorry, but you're not going to win. So we appreciated that. But the producers liked Joyce so much that they actually offered her a refrigerator, which we used for quite a while. This happened some years after, and maybe Joyce and I are recalling that it was in the first couple of years that we were actually active at the temple, and we had just learned a lot more about Shin Buddhism. Joyce especially liked the concept of the Bombu, that is that we're all Bombu, and we're ordinary and even foolish beings. Although sometimes we hear a Bombu defined as simply as a foolish being, the foolishness is probably secondary. Primarily a Bombu is an ordinary being, not enlightened like a Buddha or a Bodhisattva. And of course, as ordinary beings, we can be foolish, so it's not wrong to say that a Bombu is a foolish being. And that's one reason why I chose the quote that led off this talk. We carry ignorance and bad habits, and if you like, poor karma, so we all do. We're all together in this. Joyce liked the fact that since most people were unenlightened, if they kind of formed a club, and the club was the largest club in the world because people belonged to it whether they knew it or not. Everybody was unenlightened. So on national television, Joyce said that she was a member of a club that all people belonged to, whether they knew it or not, the Bombu Club. And Pat Sajak chuckled and moved on. But at least the concept of the Bombu was introduced to the nation on that date. We're all Bombu. Last Wednesday night in Buddhism 123, a little discussion class, we talked about the pros and cons of being a Bombu. And some people identified cons as to how depressing it is to be a limited and even foolish being, and those sorts of issues. Some pros related to the fact that we can have a low bar for success and it kind of gives us a pass, you know, so you don't have to be so hard on yourself. One of our group liked that because we are Bombu, we receive the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. So that's actually the end of my talk right there. That's the main point that I will be trying to make, but I will continue just a little bit longer. Because the concept of the Bombu is crucial to our Nembutsu path in some ways that's also good to keep in mind. So I'm going to share some information available on the idea of being a Bombu. The first passage comes from the Tricycle website. Some of you know that Tricycle is a magazine and a website devoted to Buddhist topics, but it now has a very good section on Pure Land. I don't know if it's behind their firewall or not, but I was really happy to learn a lot just by going to that section. And the section is called the Bombu Paradigm. So this is from the website. A feature of Pure Land Buddhism is the extent to which it accepts the common human condition, one's Bombu, ordinary person nature. So we're all ordinary, that is foolish and deluded in various ways and subject to vagaries of passion. And Pure Land Buddhism teaches that total reform is impossible within the world of conditions. Even the very effort to achieve perfection can be counterproductive, leading to spiritual pride, an arrogant overestimation of one's own power and ability. The practice of a deluded being must, by definition itself, be fallible. Because Pure Land Buddhism rests upon this proposition, known as the Bombu paradigm, its practitioners are invested with humility or acknowledgement of their Bombu nature, as well as with gratitude for the gift of the Dharma and acceptance into Amida Buddha's pure domain. So that passage prompted a few thoughts of my own, but doesn't that make you feel better? We may be Bombu, but we have our own paradigm. That's great. I'd like to rename the concept slightly just for our purposes today. I think we can also call this aspect of our tradition the Bombu paradox. So I don't know the authors of the Tricycle section. That section, again, I thought was excellent, and I'll search further to try and find out. But the author continues in the following paragraph. It may seem paradoxical that giving up the ambition to achieve enlightenment can lead to living a more enlightened life. To Pure Land practitioners, this makes sense because one's karma, and therefore one's individual power, is very limited. If one relies instead upon the Buddha, it is like plugging into a big generator rather than a small battery. So the paradox is that the best way for me to become a Buddha is to realize that I am not able to do so. This almost sounds like a joke, or perhaps a little more objectively, we are the recipients of Amida's wisdom and compassion because we are Bombu. In the phrase that may seem like a one-liner, the best way for me to become a Buddha is to realize that I am not able to do so, is to dig just a little bit deeper in the concept of I, the limited ego. I'm very grateful to receive the update on two ministers associated with us on their current situation. I know that we all send them good vibes and best wishes for recovery or to go ahead and deal with the issues that they're dealing with medically. But I had planned on quoting Reverend Akahoshi regardless, because he had a similar idea in mind in his description of the spiritual path as going from me to we. He was using we in the sense of expanding beyond the ego, and I believe to include all sentient beings and even all Buddhas. Another useful description comes from the website of the Oakland Buddhist Temple, which has a great gloss on Bombu. In Shin Buddhism, religious philosophy, we remain Bombu until we attain birth in the Pure Land. I'm not sure I'd ever heard that before, but it begins to make sense. The website continues, awakening to the fact that we are Bombu is a crucial part of the Shin Buddhist faith experience or religious awakening as it occurs simultaneously with our awakening to the unconditional love and compassion of Amida Buddha, who saves all beings without any discrimination whatsoever. Thus, it is through entrusting ourselves to the original vow of Amida Buddha that we, Bombu, attain birth in the Pure Land and then enlightenment. So, before I apologize for not beginning with a quote from Shinran Shonin, and now we can go ahead and hear his words directly. This is from his notes on Essentials of Faith alone. Shinran is talking about how we are transformed along the Nembutsu path. And it goes like this. We are to be transformed means that evil karma, without being nullified or eradicated, is made into the highest good, just as water, upon entering the great ocean immediately, becomes ocean water. By realizing Shinjin, our foolish mind, and Buddha's mind become one, but at the same time, foolish beings themselves remain just as they are, as Bombu. So in trying to understand more about what it means to be a Bombu, and in that quote, I also found a 207 essay in English from a Jodo Shinshu minister, Reverend Dayanti Haseo, and he's the lead minister at Tozenji Buddhist Temple. But the talk itself was delivered, and fortunately for me it was in English, but the talk was delivered at Tsukuji Hongwanji in Tokyo. And the talk was called Living as a Shin Buddhist, Experiencing Two Types of Deeply Entrusting Mind. And this is what he wrote. The following hymn is well known to illustrate the relationship between blind passions and Amida's mind on how foolish beings attain Buddhahood without severing their blind passions based on the principle of Mahayana Buddhism, which indicates essentially the non-duality of samsara and nirvana. And you may have heard this before, this is my aside, but you may have heard this before, that some of the deepest Buddhists say there is no difference between this world of samsara, this world of conditions, and the Pure Land. Obstructions of karmic evil turn into virtues, and this is the first line of a 4-line quatrain. Obstructions of karmic evil turn into virtues. It is like the relation of ice and water. The more the ice, the more the water. The more the obstructions, the more the virtues. While we do not become Buddhas with the Buddha's mind, we experience more deeply our Bombu nature in such a way that our attitudes and relations with others are transformed and become more meaningful, reciprocal, or sharing. In other words, there is a behavior outcome that can be traced in this transformation, though we still essentially remain our imperfect Bombu selves. We don't become perfect, but we move to more positive actions in the course of our lives through this experience. So moving from Reverend Haseo's essay, let me catch up or sum up in this way. By accepting our Bombu nature, we are more able to experience and share Buddha's mind, even though we remain Bombus. If you're okay with the concept of Buddha nature, we experience a mix of that Buddha nature and Bombu nature in our religious experience. We may not have the karma to become a Buddha under our own steam, but we have access to Amida Buddha's karma. The tricycle coverage of Bombu concludes with a quote from a quote of a poem from the Myokonin Saicho Asahara. And we tend to think of the Myokonin as living in a previous age, but actually Saichi was born in 1850 and lived until 1932, so less than 100 years ago when he passed away. This also consists of 4 lines. The ocean is full of water. It has a seabed to support it. Saichi is full of blind passion. It has Amida to support it. So going back to my opening quote from Shakyamuni Buddha about the fool, I think it's okay to say that the concept of Bombu is much deeper and liberating than the idea of the fool that was quoted at first. But the quote from Shakyamuni has the seed of how we currently understand about the Bombu. Before we close, I'll just mention that we should understand our tradition that we just have conducted of monthly and annual memorials in the context of being Bombus because of our Bombuhood. Because we're Bombus, we probably are too foolish to adequately remember and appreciate and thank those who came before us on our own. Because we're Bombus, we're given the monthly prompts of Shotsuki Hoyo and the annual prompts of Eitaikyo to help remind us. The ice is equal to the water. The water is equal to the ice. Speaking of another former minister, I once complained to Reverend Yushi Muko-ojima about why in Jodo Shinshu we're all encouraged to listen to the Dharma, often the same messages again and again. Because we forget, he said. He didn't say because we are Bombu, but I understand the implication now. We are Bombu. Because of our Bombu nature, we get to hear the Dharma. The water of the Dharma is equal to the ice of our foolishness. The ice is equal to the water. So thank you for your attention. Please put your hands together in Gassho, remembering that one hand is you and the other hand is Buddha. A fool who knows his foolishness is wise, at least to that extent. But a fool who thinks himself wise is a fool indeed. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Bill Teague, for your message about being a Bombu and how we as Shin Buddhists can continue to learn how to better our lives as Bombu. I'd also personally like to see a clip of Joyce on the Wheel of Fortune, so if you're able to pull that up, I'm sure I'm not the only one. Can you please rise to sing the Gatha Ondok-san on page 128? Please remain standing for closing and music meditation. If one walks looking far ahead and pays no attention to the ground beneath his eyes, he will stumble. If one gazes critically upon others and forgets to look into himself, he will bring tragedy upon himself. Renyo Shoni. Please be seated. Thank you for joining us at today's service. Following offering of incense, those who would like to stay for our Japanese message, Noriko Sensei will be giving us our Japanese talk today. Otherwise, please join us for hospitality downstairs after today's service, and thank you again for joining us.
Family along. Like, we're not even Christian. It's just him, but you know.
Gotta support.
Yeah. Oh, it was at 8 o'clock. Oh yeah. He had to wear formal clothes. It was so awful. It was like Russian people, so it was even worse.
Hardcore.
We're all so stuffy.
Everybody else has to leave.
今すでに浮く。仏法聞きがたし、今すでに聞く。好み根性に向かってどせずんば、さらにいずれかの章に向かってか好みをどせん。南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏、南無阿弥陀仏。おはようございます。本日は2月の小月法要でした。月の初めの日曜日は小月法要があり、同じ日に日本語の法話をさせていただいているので、通常法月法要がある日に、日本語法話があることが多いと思います。本日も少しの間よろしくお願いいたします。さて、初めに読んだ文章ですが、これはお釈迦様がおっしゃった言葉だと言われています。日本のお寺ではこの文章から始まる三起右衛門をお勤めの際に唱和したりもしますが、アメリカのお寺でも、日本の日曜日のお勤めの際に実際今日も読みましたけれども、英語で読みますと hard it is to be born into human life. Now we are living it ってやつですね。で、今日この言葉をご紹介したのは、最初の部分の人参受けがたし、今すでに浮く、仏法聞きがたし、今すでに聞くのところをお話ししたかったからです。ちょっとダジャレみたいになりますけれども、人参っていうのは人参じゃないキャロットじゃないですね。人参、人心と書いて人の体ということで、人の体をいただけるというのはすごく難しいことですけれども、私たちは今いただいています。で、仏法聞きがたし、今すでに聞く。人間に生まれてくるのは大変難しいことだ。今その人間としての生を受けている。仏法、仏様のお話をお聞きするのも大変難しいことだ。しかし、まさに今そのお話をお聞きすることができるのだ。ありがたいという言葉がありますが、普通はありがとうなどと感謝の言葉を表す言葉ですけれども、ある、存在するということが固い、難しいという意味です。ですから私たちが存在しているということはとても稀なことであって、それだからこそ人間という生を受け、仏様のお話を聞くことができることをありがたく思うというふうに解釈するそうです。いつもお話しさせていただいているんですが、浄土真宗での法事や法要というのは、亡くなった方をご縁として仏法に出会わせていただくためのものです。私は年を重ねるにつれて、本当にその通りだなと思わせていただいています。一般には法事とか法要は亡くなった方を祀るもので、先祖崇拝であると思われたりもしますが、それは法事の本当の意味ではないそうです。2500年ぐらい前にお釈迦様が目覚められて以来、仏教は世界各地に広められたわけですが、その広まる過程で行く土地土地の風習や、その土地にもともとあった宗教の習わしを取り入れていったとも言われています。ですのでインドから、インドの近くから発生して、東に行くと、中国ですとか、そこでは儒教ですとか道教ですとかいろいろあって、で、韓国も韓国のその地の、宗教があり、でそれが混ざったものが日本に届いて、日本は神道がありましたから、それと混ざってっていうことで、多分一番初めに生まれた仏教と今の仏教、それも土地土地の仏教ってかなりもういろんなさまざまな形になっていると思われます。で、先祖崇拝っていうのは中国の儒教のフレーバーが少し混ざったものではないかと言われています。2月はお釈迦様が亡くなった日がある月です。日本の暦では2月15日をお釈迦様のご命日、またその法要を涅槃会と言います。ですので、日本のお寺では2月15日頃に法要が行われ、みんなで集まり、それをご縁として仏法を聞かせていただき、仏縁に巡り合わせていただく。それが浄土真宗の法事や法要の意味合いであるということです。私は年末年始に日本に行っておりましたが、今回は、私の父の三回忌のために帰っていました。その日には親戚が集まり、旦那寺のお坊さんがいらっしゃって法要をしていただきました。私の実家では以前はお盆にお坊さんにお越しいただいて供養していただいていましたが、それ以外の時はあまりお寺と関わり合いがないような家でした。でもある時を境に少し変わりました。私は9年前に6つ上の兄を亡くしているのですが、それからは私の母はことあるごとにお寺に出向くようになりました。亡くなった兄がどうなっているのかと思っているのかもしれません。または阿弥陀様のお姿を見て、お坊さんのお話をお聞きして、 ほっとする気持ちになるのかもしれません。お寺でお香の香りを嗅ぐだけでもほっとしたりしますよね。私自身もやっぱり兄がお浄土に往生させていただいているのか、でもそしたら仏さんになってこの世に戻ってくるから、私が死んだ時はもう会えないじゃないかと勝手な解釈でいろいろと考えたりしていました。ある時その思いを話したところ、実家のある神戸でお世話になっている浄土真宗のお坊さんが、こうおっしゃいました。七高僧の一人、天神菩薩がお書きになった浄土論に、お浄土を一歩も動かずしてこの私をお救いくださるとあります。つまり私たちはお浄土に参ったら阿弥陀様と同じ徳をいただくわけです。ですからお兄さんとお浄土で会えますよとおっしゃってくださいました。ですのでどういう意味かというと、私たちが死んだ時お浄土にホープフリー行きますよね。その時にお浄土に行った時には、仏さんになるわけですけれども、その時に阿弥陀さんと同じ力をいただけるということですね。ですから阿弥陀さんっていうのはどこにいらっしゃってもどこにでもいる方をお救いになるので、おそらく私の兄もお浄土にいながらいろんな人のお助けをしているんじゃないかというふうにおっしゃってくださる。ですので私が死んでお浄土に参る時に兄に会うことができますよというふうにおっしゃってくださいました。で、なんだかすごくほっとしました。私は浅はかに自分の考えで、兄は死んで仏様になっている。仏様というのはこの世の人たちを助けるお役目があるのだから、もうこの世に来ていてお浄土にはいないのだなんて思っていました。でもこのお坊さんによると、私たちが死んで仏様になった暁には阿弥陀様と同じ力を備えさせていただけるので、お浄土にいながらこの世にいる人たちを助けることができるということです。死んだら仏さんになる、仏さんになってお浄土に行くということを信じるかどうかは別として、亡くなった家族にまた会いたいと思うのは自然な心情ではないかと思います。キリスト教の人たちは亡くなったら天国で会えると思われる方も多いですよね。私たちもお浄土で亡くなった人に会えると思いたいですよね。でも往生させていただいて仏さんになったらすぐ他の人を助けないといけないからお浄土を出ないといけないのなんて、私は浅はかにいろいろと考えていました。阿弥陀様がそうでいらっしゃるように、亡くなった私の兄や他の方々は生きている私たちのように限界のある形を持った存在ではないわけですね。どうしてもこの世の限界にとらわれて考えがちですが、そのお坊さんに説明していただいてちょっと納得できた気がしました。このお寺が属する浄土真宗の宗祖は親鸞上人ですが、その親鸞上人は書物の中でこうおっしゃっています。すべての生きとし生けるものは皆生まれ変わりを繰り返す中で、いつの世か父母兄弟であったことでしょう。そんな懐かしい人たちを根性で阿弥陀仏に救われ、次の世には仏に生まれて助けなければいけません。と親鸞上人はおっしゃいました。私たちがいくつもの生を受ける中で人間として生まれ、いろんな人と関わり合い、前世というものがあるとしたら、そこでは今知っている人たちと父母兄弟の関係であったかもしれないというのです。前世というものを考えなくても、この世の中だけでも私たちはたくさんの人といろいろな関わり合いを持って暮らしていますね。これをいただいてみても、私たちのこの世の関わり合いというものは不思議なご縁のもとにあるものだなと思います。そしてそのご縁によって救っていただいたり、仏様にならしていただいた暁には救って差し上げたりすることができるのだなと思います。 法事というのは亡くなった方をご縁として仏法と出会わせていただくためのものだとお話ししました。私自身も毎日本当にたくさんのご縁をいただいています。本日こうして皆さんとお会いできているのもご縁のおかげであると思います。本当にありがたいことだと思っております。本日はお越しいただきありがとうございました。それでは合唱してお話を終わりとさせていただきます。合唱。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナモ阿弥陀仏。ナマンダ仏。ナマンダ仏。ナマンダ仏。ナマンダ仏。ありがとうございました。